This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, NBA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook preview show. We got five games on a Tuesday. 7 games is Monday. 5 games here on a Tuesday slate. Kicking off 7 p.m. Denver, Indiana. 10 p.m. late night hammer game. LA versus LA. The Lakers versus the Clippers. No LeBron James in this one. Already ruled out ahead of time. Tyrese Halliburton listed as questionable ahead of that game against Denver. As we get closer and closer to the trade deadline, we have to be wary of names that could be on the move. We got word, obviously, on Monday that Buddy Hield and Obi Toppin are available for trade with the Indiana Pacers as they look to sort of reshuffle their lineups and depth on the roster here. So, James, how you feeling, man?
Quick salute to Joel Embiid for going 72 actual points, 100 DraftKings points. And second salute, John, because this hasn't happened in a while, Karl-Anthony Towns, who, as we record this, the Minnesota Timberwolves have the ball with 11 seconds remaining, down 1. Towns was not in for defense. He was subbed out, but he currently has 62 points. So I'd assume, being down 1, you probably get the guy with 62 points the ball.
Probably get him the ball.
So 62, potentially more for Karl-Anthony Towns, but just, this was, I don't know if you knew this, Sean, the anniversary of Kobe's 81.
Yeah.
And now we've
The players knew.
Yeah. Apparently. And you and I were talking about it. Giannis had a 30-point, 17-rebound triple-double, and it doesn't even matter because whatever's happening, whatever's in the air everywhere else in the NBA tonight.
Yeah. Towns had over 40 actual at halftime. Embiid had, I think, 34 and 10 at halftime of their respective games. So, those guys, they knew what the mark was. They all honor Kobe. I mean, obviously for good reason.
Right.
And they were going for his number here this evening. And 2 guys came wildly close to getting it done there. We'll see, like you mentioned, if Minnesota takes a lead here, if this game ends up going to overtime or not, giving Towns a chance to actually surpass Embiid's number for this evening. 5 games on the slate, as I mentioned here. A couple of key injury news we'll discuss as we move through the positions. But when it comes to matchups and totals, Indy is getting 3 at home, 242.5 game total there. Knicks, Nets, Brooklyn getting 4 points at home, 223 game total in that one. Pelicans are 6.5-point home favorites against Utah, 238.5 game total there. The Thunder are giving 14.5 to the Trailblazers. That's a 235 game total. And then again, the late night hammer, the Clippers are giving 8.5 in a 231 game total matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Denver, Indiana is obviously super appealing. Would like Tyrese Halliburton to play in that game so we don't have to deal with TJ McConnell 3-minute stints for 12 minutes total. Because Rick Carlisle is just smarter than everyone else in the room. Obviously, Portland has lost to OKC by 50 twice this year. So that's going to be a brutal third meeting or fourth. I don't even know how many times they've played, but it's been too many to count. The Knicks-Brooklyn game is interesting because no Isaiah Hartenstein. Nick Claxton's been amazing, but the Nets have been scuffling. And then can anyone stop Utah offensively? I'm not sure, but the Pelicans are definitely going to try. So definitely a bunch of interesting matchups here. And obviously the LA battle at the end of the night would be more interesting if LeBron was playing, but unfortunately he's not.
Interesting on the Pelicans front. I'm sure you saw our guy Herb Jones apparently available to be traded. Pelicans deciding to opt for Trey Murphy in that rotation than our guy Herb here. So again, we'll see what happens as we move through, as we get closer to the trade deadline, a little over a week and a half or so away from the deadline there, February 8th, I believe it is. So we'll see how that goes. Let's just jump into it position by position here. You mentioned the matchup for OKC versus Portland. in 2 games against Portland this year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is averaging 42 fantasy points in 21 minutes. He's averaging almost 30 actual in those 21 minutes here. So you mentioned massive blowouts here. Risky at 10K. When in terms of guys that are over 10K, he's one of 3. SGA, Davis, and Jokic there at 11-2 is your high play. Halliburton at 97, then goes down to Jalen Brunson, Jamal Murray, James Harden, your 8K and above tier here. Murray obviously would be in a great spot price-wise, pace up against the Pacers. You know what Halliburton's capable of doing, and then Brunson can't take away how he's been. So you don't really need to go the SGA route here if you're worried about that blowout.
Definitely worried about the blowout. definitely worried about the blowout. And maybe we shouldn't be, because nobody's apparently getting all the games that you don't expect to blow out are blowing out. All the games you expect to be tight are blowing out these days of the NBA. It's just it's an unpredictable league when it's not an in-season tournament vibe and everyone's playing like as hard as possible. But just considering how good OKC's been and how good they've been at home and how bad Portland's been and how bad they've been in this matchup twice, losing by 50 plus, hard pressed to think that this game doesn't blow out again, especially, what Portland is.
Yeah.
Halliburton's interesting for sure. There was no limit upon returning. Makes you wonder, is 35 minutes after, he was back really, really fast from that, from the hammy. I forget what it was called. It was like a hamstring 1 pull.
Yeah.
And they were saying how fast he got back. Makes you wonder if 35 minutes off the rip was a little too much, and then he sat in the games following. So if he plays, it'd obviously be a great spot just with how good of a fantasy producer he is. But really hard not to want to play Jalen Brunson or Jamal Murray, as you alluded to. I mean, Brunson coming off back-to-back 60 bombs. Honestly, could be playing himself into MVP conversations if he continues to play this well. Not that he would be an MVP, but
Embiid's got that locked, I think, after tonight.
Well, Embiid just needs to play.
Yeah.
He needs to play the games. He doesn't have many. And he stayed again consistent after tonight. He said, "Doesn't matter. We need to win a championship," and that was after 70. So
he's got his MVP already, so he doesn't necessarily need another.
True.
One, right?
Yes, he needs to play well in the playoffs. That's he knows it too. Jamal Murray, obviously, just such an elite spot. There's a massive ceiling, and then there's Nikola Jokic massive ceiling that takes away from Jamal Murray massive ceiling. And we saw that the other day where Jokic is like, actually, I got this today. And he goes 42, 12, and 8, and you're like, oh, there's no room for anyone else to do anything. So I love Jamal Murray. Even in the game that Jokic scored 42, he took 23 shots. He just didn't make any. So really hard.
You saw Murray going 35 actual against Boston. In that game before.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, he was dude. That was I heard a comparison to Bubble Murray, and I was like, oh, that was good, because he was going at the Celtics in that game.
Yep, 100%. Tier next, you have Harden, obviously $8,200. Simons, McCollum, D'Angelo Russell at $6,500. We've been playing him anyways. Now you got no LeBron in the mix.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, he scored the last time we saw no LeBron. It was in the Utah game. He scored 39 actual. I'm not sitting here saying he's going to score 39 actual, but you also got to consider he entered the starting lineup 5 games ago and has scored less than 20 points just once in that span, and has twice dropped over 30 actual, 34 and 39. So, there's a good reason to believe that D'Angelo Russell is going to continue scoring, especially with the way Anthony Davis has played. Overall, I know he only had 3 assists in that Portland game, and that may or may not have hurt somebody on the show. The games prior, 6, 9, 5, and 11 assists in that Utah game without LeBron. They realized they need to use Davis as a hub more so, as a playmaker, more than just a scorer. So, I love D'Lo 65. Simons, tournaments only. McCollum, really good spot, but he's just always going to be contending with Zion and Ingram. So if you get the right McCollum day, I mean, it's a really, really cheap price tag. $7,000 is super cheap. And then Harden obviously has a ceiling. We just saw it last game, 52 fantasy points.
Colin Sexton here played 40 minutes against Houston.
John, give me like one. Just pick one. If you can give me one reason that DraftKings is still pricing him at this price, I want to hear it. Like, give me one legitimate reason.
This
please.
is literally what happened with Dennis Schroeder like 3 years ago. Remember when they just left him at like $5,300 for the Thunder for a month and a half, right? Like,
dude, what are we looking at that they're like, you know what? We should keep his price and never move it. Why? They played 40 minutes and 34 minutes.
I think it's still the algorithms are like trying to figure it out because he had a couple of games here where he only played 20 or so minutes because of blowouts. And then it's like, oh, the Pelicans have been good and they're on the road, and Houston and Utah hasn't been good on the road. I don't know, but very clear. The man took 27 shots, 19. Like,
I'm just saying. I don't know. I can't tell you. That's why I'm asking you because I need.
It feels like another just like auto plug for us here, right? Like,
yes, it does. It does.
Hit the button now. We'll save ourselves the time. Brogdon again, tough spot, but the minutes have been there and the production's been there. The guy can still do it when you need him to do it. So
he hasn't actually played in either OKC game. Do you think that matters? Because he has been awesome, but do you think it matters?
It might. I mean, he's a scoring threat for them. And Simon's only played in one of those two games as well.
Yeah, Simon's missed the last one.
So they missed both Brogdon and Simons in the last one. Maybe this, I mean, I'll say this, OKC's at home, so probably not. But yeah, you never know. Where are we at here? Westbrook 6K.
Coming off a I mean, what a tilter in between, because of course
we played him here. We played him here against the Thunder.
And they go small, and then they go nothing. They 40 minutes of
big. They go big. They go big.
Straight big lineup. Plumlee and Tice, 48 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Annoying. Also, though, came against Brooklyn, so maybe some good news there for for the matchup that they got for Brunson there.
Sure.
I mean, Cam Thomas went nutty against the Lakers, $5,800. We can't. These things happen, right? He's a bucket. We know he's a bucket. If you pick and choose the right day, maybe he gets it done for you. Reeves is someone that we'll take a look at here without LeBron James. Played 31 minutes in that Utah game, 27 fantasy points for him. Talked McConnell. If there's no Halliburton, the minutes for whatever reason, just like it's not there.
He started this game and played 12 minutes. Like, dude. It's just unbelievable.
Yep.
It's just unbelievable.
It's annoying. Scoot could be on his lonesome here. Can't pay the price tag right now. Where are we going next at the point guard position? Any of these value plays stick out to you? We talked Jordan Hawkins briefly before. Keontae George is here. DSJ is at the $5,400 now. I don't know why that is. Just a point per minute guy.
I'm not sure there's much.
I still like Hawkins, honestly.
It's Hawkins in tournaments. Keontae's fully out of the rotation again.
Can't play it when Sexton's doing the way he's doing. So
you can't. Chris Dunn played 27 minutes, almost triple-doubled, because if Chris Dunn stays out of foul trouble and they actually play him and extend him, then he has a ceiling, but it's just when that happens, it's very hard to predict. So I don't think there's anything concrete, just tournament plays. I guess Nembhard 53 is questionable.
Yeah.
25 minutes. I mean, if he sits, you have to play McConnell. If he sits and Halliburton sits, you just have to play McConnell.
Shaking my head at what Dinwiddie did, obviously, in this Utah game.
I like how you were looking at Dinwiddie's name and you went Ginwiddie is what you just said.
Did I?
That was a solid name combination, honestly. Dinwiddie.
There you go. Here's Spencer Dinwiddie, 30 plus minutes in 3 straight games.
Here's Spencer Dingiddy.
There was a report that he's silently protesting. Well, he's performing well if he's silently protesting. So
I was gonna say the silent protest, you could tell he sucked. He was not playing well previous to this. Maybe he ended his protest in these last 3 games.
Maybe it's possible. Shooting guard here, Paul George, $8,500. Brandon Ingram, $7,600. Mikal Bridges at $7,500. Top 3 guys priced out here.
I mean, PG is definitely interesting. I think the Lakers definitely have a guarding issue on the perimeter when they start Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. So PG for sure in play. Ingram. This is one of those like random Pelican too cheap slates, huh? Because
Feels
this
like it.
McCollum 7K, Ingram 76. Definitely going to have exposure here. Bridges obviously has a ceiling, and he's been flashing it more and more lately. 3 of his last 6 games with 45 or more fantasy points. We saw the Clarkson game the other day was a definite Jordan Clarkson game because that's
12 rebounds on
what Jordan Clarkson does randomly. It's and he played all the minutes. Like
Was that
again,
the
it's just,
Houston game with where they were without Van Vliet? Or no, that was
no
Boston.
Van Vliet. Yeah, they did. Yeah, Van Vliet, no Boston. It was the first game of their back to back.
Right.
That's the thing. Like with these guards, though, like they just have massive ceilings. Like Sexton, you could play any format. I think you could probably only get to Clarkson comfortably in tournaments, right? Like you just 29, 26 fantasy points
Yeah.
at 6,800 the 2 games prior. I know his price is decreasing, but like, why wouldn't you just in cash? Why wouldn't you just play Sexton for 200 cheaper? You can play either of those guys. I still prefer Sexton, but we know Clarkson has a massive ceiling.
Sure. Anybody else down here in this 5K or below range?
I wish the Knicks played Dante DiVincenzo more.
Yeah, need multiple guys out apparently for that to happen.
Yeah. Trey Murphy, 51. The Herb thing is interesting that they would even consider trading him. Like, I understand they like Trey Murphy. They gave him like $150 million. So that like says what you need to know that how much they like Trey Murphy. But like I don't know. I feel like they can coexist. Maybe they feel that they can't and they need to get Trey Murphy more time. But if that starts to be the case, 5,100 for Trey Murphy is too cheap. Caldwell Pope has a really good matchup. He's going to play big minutes, just super low floor.
I like this whole room here. Mathurin, Powell, Murphy, KCP. They're all fine to me.
Mathurin minutes, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we know.
I know, but it's that like
he's 1 for 16 in those 2 games. So
I know he's 1 for 16, but I just don't know how it gets better with like one of those games without Halliburton, both those games now with Siakam. Like, how does it get better?
Well, he's got to hit shots.
He has to hit shots, and I'm not saying he's going to go 0 for 8, 1 for 8 every game, but
right. They're not going to keep it. They're just not going to put him out there if he's not scoring. So.
I know that's true.
Anybody else down here?
I don't see anything.
Okay, small forward. Kawhi 86, Laurie 81 still. I mean, I don't know. Guys we discussed already. Your Grant, Jalen Williams is $6,700.
Whoa. That's unfortunate because
it's a blowout.
If it's not, I mean, he had 30. That was the Giddey game, right? That was the Giddey game where Giddey also had like 1,000 fantasy points, and now and Jalen Williams also had 1,000 fantasy points. 19 minutes, 40 fantasy points. I mean, what are we doing? There's a chance that Portland keeps it close. Then obviously, OKC is just vastly underpriced.
Sure. Agreed.
And so is Laurie. I mean, so is Laurie. And this.
Yeah, I mean, Laurie's 81. I mean, I get the matchup right, and maybe he drives the Herb Jones defense. You got to deal with Zion and Valanciunas there, but I mean, he's been very good.
Yep, very good
to deal at that price point. Got OG, got Michael Porter Jr. here, 65 and 58. We talked Buddy Hield being on the potential trade block. Cam J's in this range, so smaller slate, so the pool definitely jumps down a little bit on us.
Yeah, not a lot here that I like. I'd be interested to see what the Knicks decide to do if Hartenstein sits. Does that unlock Josh Hart a little bit more? Sure. We know Josh Hart has played a lot. Thibodeau seems pretty reluctant to go to like the Randall center lineup. But I mean, like, is he going to go into a game with 48 minutes of Achua and Jericho Sims? That also feels like something. I don't know. We'll see, right? He did play Precious Achua 25 minutes in that Toronto game that Hartenstein left. So we'll see. But if I'd be okay getting to some Josh Hart. We know he's in the rotation regardless. Maybe he does seem like get a little bit of a boost if there's no Hartenstein.
Rebounding for him, right? Like,
yep, the rebounding. I am assuming the Lakers go back to this Hachimura starting lineup. Actually, Torian Prince. Well, no LeBron.
Vanderbilt?
No LeBron. They started Hachimura for Prince. Prince is off the injury report. Do they just start them both? And
Good.
like because there's no LeBron, so they just
him or Vanderbilt, right?
Him or Vanderbilt, probably. Yeah. Him or Vanderbilt. I'm gonna
Reddish
say
is also back. They had started Reddish earlier this year.
It's true. I feel like they would. I'm gonna say it's Prince Hachimura, but we'll see.
Fontecchio's still playing almost 30 minutes here. He's 3,600. That's a pretty cheap price tag.
That is a very cheap price tag for a guy playing almost 30, and they like him defending the opposing team's best player. So, if he's gonna keep playing minutes,
knocks down a couple threes.
I mean, dude, if you get the last two stat lines at 3,600, that's a pretty good lineup filler for you. So, yeah.
Power forward, AD, power forward center eligible 10-2. We'll obviously have him be pretty popular with LeBron out. Then you do get Randall. You got Siakam at 78. Zion's at 74. Pretty good cluster of pricing there.
Dude, what is the algorithm about these Pelicans? Like every month they're like, let's just drop them like
$200, right? Like
each. Like every single player is going to be like mid sevens. Starting to have like a Chicago Bulls vibe, right? Like all the Bulls are like mid sevens. You're like, oh, they're all pretty much in play here. Yeah, I mean, AD is going to be the chalkiest spend up of the slate with no LeBron. My assumption. Triple double the last time, no LeBron. Randall really coming off a triple double. Obviously, super elite fantasy production that just doesn't see his price go over 9K ever unless there's no Jalen Brunson. Siakam hasn't looked great. He's been in massive foul trouble both games he's been in Indiana. Probably not the best spot for him against Denver, but it is his first home game. I like Zion's price, but look at dude, it's like, why do we get Zion going for 13 points on one night, and in that game he has 9 assists, 5 rebounds, and then the next night he has 24 points, but he has 3 rebounds and 1 assist? Why can he not combine those two things? Like, why does the peripheral stats, why can't they coexist? It's like they have to happen on separate nights. Like he has to be looking to pass and rebound, or he has to be looking to score. He cannot figure out how to I feel like he cannot compute doing all these things at once. I don't know.
Both Gordon and MPJ here are probable to play against Spacer, so good, fine there. Jabari, I mean, maybe in a blowout, he gets some extra love. I don't know. What are your thoughts here? He played just 22 minutes in that first matchup, did have 25 fantasy points.
They're not playing him in blowouts anymore because they're starting him, and they're playing like all these other guys. Chris Murray, they played Ryan Rupert the other day. They gave Baji some run. They gave this dude Taze Moore. He's from the G League. He scored his first career points. What happened earlier in the year is not happening anymore, and it's so sad. Where these guys were getting blowout run, and now they're not. And I wish that weren't the case because let's develop. I know what Chauncey's trying to do, develop the other guys, but let's develop the guys that you're going to play long term.
Agreed. Herb is still there at 48. Apparently, the Nets want 2 first-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't know who's going to give them that. They're going to
3-and-D guy. I mean, it kind of similar. Didn't that kind of happen in the Kyrie trade last year?
What?
It was Finney-Smith. They got 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, they came with Kyrie going the other way.
That's fair. I'm just saying, I think it's a common practice for 3-and-D guys to get that on the market. If he gets that, I mean, Herb's gonna get.
John Collins didn't really play much in that game.
Yeah, he got benched for Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler started the second half for him.
Yeah, Jalen Smith's here, obviously a fantasy point per minute guy. Precious Achiuwa, as you mentioned, did play 25 minutes. I like Precious Achiuwa. I think he's a fine player if he's going to get the minutes there. So then, of course, we have the Lakers plays here that we talked about. Center, Joker's 11-2. Anthony Davis, as we talked about, 10-2. You can play either one with confidence. No problems there. Where are you with the rest of the center position?
I mean, Chet 7,100. So, like, again, if they stay close, that's really cheap for his ceiling. I've been playing a lot of Nick Claxton lately. And if there's no Hartenstein, like, I don't dislike Precious Achua. I also think Precious Achua is like a good motor offensive player. And I think that he's also pretty foul happy. This could be one of those spots where he gets into some big foul trouble. Claxton's been really much better offensively lately. The minutes have been great without Darren Sharp too. So I like Claxton here in the mid tier.
Ayton played in just one of those Portland games. Didn't play the most recent one. So Walker Kessler, as you mentioned, do you think he starts this game?
Not even going to try to predict it.
If he starts this game, I mean, dude,
it's too cheap. He's probably going to be he probably is popular at this price, right? Yeah, I mean, 5K. He's been in the rotation to begin with, 25, 24, 20 or 32 minutes, and like the production's been good anyways. So I would say, regardless of starting or not, he's probably getting a good run.
Can't really pick a Clipper, but they're going to need an actual center out there against Anthony Davis. So
I assume it's Plumlee. Like, I know Plumlee kind of lost out run. He started that game. Tice backed him up, and then they both got taken off the floor, and they just went with the small ball Westbrook lineup. I'd assume it'd be Plumlee, just given what we saw 2 games ago, the 20 minutes, and then that he started a second straight game after Brooklyn. Could be wrong, but if Plumlee's going to continue to start, that would be the direction I'd go.
I always just throw Larry Nance in lineups.
Yeah, Larry Nance is a solid play. You talked about Achua at power forward. He'd be super chalk if guys are out.
Yep. All right, let's build a lineup here. I think we agreed probably Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
$5,600. We had some pretty.
There was a ton of value.
You like Fontecchio, right?
He's just a cheap. He's a cheap guy for sure.
6K. Where's our guy? Is he a guard only? Probably. Actually,
the Pelicans. I mean, any one of the Pelicans guys are probably in play here.
Where are we? Ingram 76. Fontecchio power forward eligible? He is. All right, let's do that. Ingram, Fontecchio, 5,300 guard forward util.
Precious. Well, we can't actually. Well, we can't.
Use him as a forward.
Yeah, I know, but he's not even Hartenstein is questionable.
Okay.
He's not even out.
Forward then. I mean, we can game theory one of these Lakers here. I mean, they're all literally priced the same.
Yeah, they're all free. Vanderbilt's been pretty good. Hachimura probably has a higher scoring. Higher scoring ceiling.
All right, $6,100 guard. Let's see. Can we get up to anybody down here?
Reeves, 58. It's obviously a tough. Oh, you played D'Lo too. Okay.
D'Lo already. Can we go Brunson to be 35? I don't think we had that cheap of a play. We did not. What was Murray? Murray was 84. Harden. And CGM at 7K is not awful.
No, it's a good price.
That would give us $5,200.
Walker Kessler?
Yeah, that works. So Russell, Sexton, Ingram, Fontecchio, Davis, McCollum, Hachimura, Kessler, $200 left over. Obviously, first look at a lineup for everybody here today. Sean Mitchell will be on your playbook for Tuesday. Find us in the Discord. Get us on Twitter. Of course, we'll be back live at 5 o'clock Eastern time. If you have any questions, catch us there. We'll see y'all later.